Did you know that Chicago's skyline was supposed to be home to the tallest building in the US, but instead, it has been a 75-foot deep hole of disappointment for 17 years? In 2024, Chicago's skyline is finally getting that major upgrade, but it's not the one everyone expected. But instead of one massive spire, we're getting 2 apartment buildings. Is this a compromise or a clever solution? Let's explore the story behind this urban transformation. If you're feeling a mix of relief and disappointment, you're not alone. Imagine the excitement of owning a piece of history, only to see it turn into a 75-foot deep hole. It's like buying a ticket to a concert that never happens. The Chicago Spire was supposed to be the tallest building in the US, stretching a whopping 2,000 feet into the sky. That's like stacking 333 average-sized adults on top of each other. But instead of reaching new heights, we got a 75-foot deep hole. Talk about a letdown of epic proportions. Back in 2007, Chicago was buzzing with excitement. The Spire promised to redefine the city's skyline and put it on the map of architectural marvels. But then the crisis of 2008 happened, and faster than you can say, economic crisis, construction was stopped. For 17 years, that hole has been a constant reminder of what could have been, like a missing tooth in Chicago's smile. Now, as we look at the bustling city around this void, we can't help but wonder, what's next for this prime piece of Chicago real estate? And to that question, the answer came last week. Join us in this video, where we explain how Chicago went from the largest tower in the world to a 17-year-long hole, to the 2 best-designed apartment buildings in the city. The perfect storm, why the Spire crumbled. It started in 2005 when this architectural dream was set to redefine Chicago's skyline. The news was printed in all the newspapers and broadcasted by all the news channels over the world. Spanish architect-engineer Santiago Calatrava would build a jaw-dropping 2,000-foot-tall spire. That's equivalent to stacking 111 adult giraffes on top of each other. With 1,193 luxury condos and a breathtaking design, the Spire seemed destined for greatness. And then the 2008 crisis hit the country. Picture this. It's 2008, and Chicago's real estate market is about to take a nosedive steeper than the Spire's proposed elevator shaft. The financial crisis hits, and suddenly, funding sources dry up faster than a puddle in the Sahara. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's take a moment to appreciate the breathtaking views of Lake Michigan that this site offers. It's prime real estate, with the city skyline on one side and the vast expanse of blue on the other. It's no wonder developers were dreaming big. Now, back to our architectural soap opera. The Spire wasn't just tall, it was a financial skyscraper of its own. Pun intended. With very expensive condos priced from $850,000 to a cool $36 million for a penthouse. It's like they were trying to build a tower of gold bricks. Add in some fancy features like high-performance glass and geothermal cooling, and you've got a recipe for financial indigestion. Rumor had it that the building's penthouse had been sold to Beanie Babies manufacturer Ty Warner. And now, 17 years of lawsuits, financial troubles, and permits later, Chicago's infamous hole is finally getting a makeover, and it's not just one tower, but 2. Related Midwest has unveiled a plan that's less about reaching for the stars and more about practical living spaces. It's like trading in your impractical sports car for a reliable SUV. Not as flashy, but way more useful. They are building 2 residential behemoths, with the northern tower stretching up 72 stories. That's like stacking 288 average adults on top of each other. The 2 towers will now be built in the area along DuSable Lakeshore Drive, right next to the Chicago River. The North Tower is scheduled to be built first and will rise 72 stories. There will be 635 rental apartments, and 127 of them will be offered as affordable housing. The project also includes extending the Riverwalk all the way to Lake Michigan. It will go through a newly constructed and long talked about DuSable Park on the east side of the drive. And as that Spire foundation is already in place, it is being incorporated into the new design. This saves time and money. But unlike the Spire's lofty dreams, these towers are designed to be built and financed effectively. As architecture critic Li Bei puts it, this is a design that can be built and financed, which is key. It's like the difference between planning a trip to Mars and actually building a house. One's a cool idea, the other's a place to live. The impact on Chicago's future. Now let's talk impact. These two new towers aren't just filling a hole but reshaping Chicago's skyline. With over 1 million square feet of floor space and 635 rental homes, it's like adding a small vertical neighborhood to the city. But Chicago's skyline dreams haven't always reached such lofty heights. The city has seen its fair share of architectural heartbreaks, from the Spire's spectacular fizzle to other tall building projects that have been paused or scrapped. If you look at this map, you will see that Chicago creates fantastic plans, but does not always reach the end plate. The blue buildings are proposed. The purple buildings are approved. The green buildings are under construction, and the red buildings are canceled. Do you see the big Spire Tower? It's in red next to the water. Can you name some other buildings in red that are canceled? Drop it in the comments. Lessons learned, from ambitious dreams to practical reality. So, what can we learn from this 17-year detour? First, dreaming big is great, but financing matters. The Spire's $1 billion price tag was as tall as its proposed height. Second, practicality wins the race. These new towers may not pierce the clouds at 2,000 feet, but they'll provide homes for real people. It's like the difference between designing a hoverboard and actually building a bicycle. One's cool in theory, and the other gets you places. As Chicago moves forward with these new towers, we can't help but wonder what other architectural dreams lie ahead. Stay tuned for more updates on the city's evolving skyline. What is financed but had a 3-year break is the tallest tower in the world, the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia. Check out the video we made about this fantastic building.